Greetings, human beings, and welcome back to Apartment 303, to a very special bonus episode of Apartment 303. I am your co-host, Dave, and alongside Adam and our former original co-host, Scott, we are here today to celebrate the season's 6, 5, and 4 regional bracket, see where we got things wrong, and check in and see what has been going on with our good friend since we last spoke. So, without further ado, Scott, it's hard to believe everything you've read on the internet. I know you may or may not be coaching for City College. I know you may or may not be practicing to be a Chippendale at night. But whether those things are not true, you definitely are still a friend of the podcast, and I'm thrilled to have you here and find out exactly what is truth and what is rumor, and how have you been, my friend?
I am gonna take a note out of Jeff Winger's book and say I can neither confirm nor deny those rumors, because it's just amazing how close the internet gets to the truth there. Not too much has been going on, but a lot has been going on. I actually am dating someone now, which finding someone during COVID is just like in of itself like a feat, and her name's Bella, and I'm very happy with her. City College athletes are getting trained up and ready to go for this cross country season. I have an athlete, Adam, been really slacking though, but yeah, that's what I have going on right there.
It's interesting. I actually heard that both of those rumors were simultaneously true, that you were actually coaching City College runners to become Chippendale dancers. But
you got that right.
Let's see. I knew we'd get to the bottom of that before too long. Great to have you back, Scott. Very much appreciate that, even if you threw me under the bus there in regards to my training. That's somewhat deserved.
So I assume that while you guys are running, you're constantly having them all listening to the episodes of our podcast on repeat over and over again. However, as the coach, you might not have that luxury. So just to bring it quickly up to speed here, we've decided to rank all of the episodes of the community in the most Adam-esque, March Madness style way possible here. It's given us the chance to have some great guests on from across the podcasts, some of whom you've worked with before as well. And while we're here today is not just to go through the bracket, but really to do a reaction/recap to the bracket. So the episode we just released was our full-length 103 bracketology, where we sat down with Matt from Communities and went matchup by matchup and, really hashed it out one thing at a time to get eventually to our winner. So I'm going to kind of pitch things to you in that format of going through these matchups, but obviously on cases where we all agree, we don't have to spend a ton of time getting into it. But anytime there's a situation where
Dave, I would love to
disagree, or even something that just didn't get talked about enough the first time around.
I agree so much with that format that I want to spend a couple minutes talking about how much I agree about your decision there, Dave.
Before this devolves into SNL's 2000 Bush versus Gore debates, let's get into the first matchup here, which is emotional consequences of broadcast television. The number 1 seed going up against 16 seed, Her Story of Dance. Scott, we're going to let you weigh in first. What do you think here?
Like most 16 seeds versus a 1 seed, they'll always put up a good fight. Sometimes it's just but also sometimes it's just a steamroll. For me, this is just a steamroll. Emotional consequences taking over Her Story of Dance. But I'm curious to hear what
clean sweep in the official
a dean
results.
Sweep.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That even better. Our first divergence didn't come until the next matchup, the 8 versus 9, which is Intro to Teaching going up against Advanced D.
I had to rewatch Intro to Teaching for this, And that's what ultimately put it ahead for me, because Advanced D&D, while it's a good episode, it doesn't hold up to the first D&D, like not even close. Also, Intro to Teaching, I think, kind of pushes the envelope of the show a little bit better in terms of like where Jeff's story is going, and just overall a better episode in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely steps up to the plate. And that was one of the things that I mentioned when we were speaking with Matt, was that you really could have had an interesting story arc with Jeff being a teacher. They have like two interactions where they actually address the logistics of him being a teacher and how he can't act the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have been a whole season arc if they wanted it to. They could have really fleshed that out. But yeah, that's obviously more innovative, more creative than regurgitating an idea that went over well with Dungeons and Dragons.
Matt from Communities actually went with Advanced D&D, and we all agreed on some points about enjoying the Dean in that episode. Adam and I advanced Intro to Teaching. I think the thing that really put off Matt about that episode was he mentioned he had some personal experience as an associate professor in a community college or similar setting, and felt particularly, let's say, not respected by the way that Dan Harmon chose to treat professions in general, not just that one specifically, but...
Did it just hit a little too close to home?
Exactly. Hit a little too close. So it didn't end up mattering, because in the next round, we all agreed that Emotional Consequences was going to go on, even though Adam and I had it prevailing over Intro to Teaching, whereas Matt had it prevailing over Advanced D&D. So before I get too far...
Man, you guys had some riffs going.
Yeah. It didn't take long. It was tough. The first one we did with Jen, I think season 2, we went like 6 or 7 without a disagreement. And in my head, I was like, oh no, this is going to be boring and this is going to be chopped.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, the next, 100 episodes we've done since then have not played out that way necessarily.
Well, not to mention that the second round with Jen, we fell out real hard. It kind of looks like my real Midwest bracket. Like I got every first round matchup right and every second round matchup wrong. It was unbelievable.
Okay, so before we keep going deeper, we're going to go down the first round, and we're going to talk about the 5-12 matchup, app development, and condiments going up against Cork-based networking. Scott, where would you weigh in there? Cork-based networking is where Annie and Hickey are dealing with red tape. I think it's secretly the first time that Frankie appears on the show, or is she Diane at that point?
Oh, she is IT.
Paget, either way, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kumail is also in that one secretly for the first time. Not that we're trying to sway your opinion, Scott.
I know.
It sounds like Scott asking.
It sounds like you guys want the upset, but I already know this is where Adam and I have different opinions on the app development and condiments episode. And I personally love that episode. I don't think it's brilliant by any means, but I still think it's a really good episode, weighing over Cork-based networking. See, that's the thing. App development condiments, like I didn't even have to Google it. Like I already had a reference for it because it's, I remember Brita with the mustard. I remember Meow Meow Beans, and it just being like, to me, it didn't feel like a too try hard of an episode with the school getting overrun by some zany game or something like that.
That never happens on Community.
Never happens.
It was pretty casual for their insanity episodes. I'll give you that. And that's definitely a take we haven't heard yet in one of these brackets. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you would advance.
I would have advanced. Yep. Okay. I guess I'm getting an X on that one.
No, that's okay. We advanced condiments as well. I don't remember if there was a digression or not. Adam, feel free to correct.
Yeah, I was gonna say I felt like Adam would advance court bait.
I assume that's the case anytime I say that.
And Dave, you had to wait. You had to step in, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So, all right, let's talk about 4 versus 13. Halfway through this bracket now. The 4 is basic intergluteal numismatics going up against VCR maintenance. What say you, my friend?
I say the Ass Crack Bandit makes so many great callbacks. It being like a murder mystery type thing. Also Ben Folds. as a cameo. Starburn singing Dave Matthews like still sticks with me.
That's literally all I hear anytime Dave Matthews plays.
Same. So that still sticks with me. Good episode. So that was a clean sweep.
All right, so we're gonna stay in the second round here, if you're following along, and we're gonna talk about Ass Crack Bandit going up against the previous winner we just selected, App Development and Condiments. How would that matchup play up for you?
That's also I'm still gonna advance Ass Crack Bandit episode. It's just a fun episode. App Development and Condiments, while a good episode, as I previously mentioned, it doesn't feel too try hard, but it does feel a little try hard, and that's the reason why I have to give it to Ass Crack Bandit. It's just like it flows a little more seamlessly and makes sense because we have this history.
So
We also have Troy, and I think that's something too that subconsciously affected my decisions as well. I think episodes with Troy in this bracket, more than any other, I moved them forward more than non-Troy episodes.
Wow. I didn't even think about how much that would affect episodes that do move forward. I mean, it totally makes sense. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Good take.
So
You should start a podcast.
Do you want to be on it?
This is the show. This should be the show.
Shit, we're getting really meta here.
All right, so before I give you a little bit of a breather and we look at the bottom half of the bracket, I'm going to press you on into the next round here, and we are going to discuss, Scott, your thoughts on emotional consequences going up against basic intergluteal.
Oh, so we're getting real. As much as I hate to see a 4 seed or any kind of underdog get thrown off, emotional consequences advance. It's, if I'm gonna think about it, like as a plot line, Ass Crack Bandit just makes so much more sense as an episode to advance. But because it's the finale, and because we have things getting wrapped up, and because it's in the title that it's a very emotional episode, that weighs into how I feel about it. So we're gonna have to advance emotional consequences and see Ass Crack Bandit fall.
Terrific.
I think this bottom half of this bracket is going to be completely obliterated because so far Scott's basically been completely on par with how things played out through this point of the bracket. I think that one was the first super, super tough one for all three of us, but we did end up advancing emotional consequences over Ass Crack Bandit.
Yeah, so far Scott's bracket looks better than mine, so that tells you something.
We're gonna see some trouble territory. I already kind of predict.
All right, 6 versus 11. We've got Modern Espionage going up against Heroic Origins.
Okay. Rewatched both of these episodes, and I don't like to be the guy that just poops on season 4, but Heroic Origins had so much potential there, just like a lot of season 4. There was a lot of potential there. Ultimately, I think it came down to pacing for the episode that just didn't feel like a community episode. And just by that, by default, Modern Espionage is going to advance. I mean, it's a paintball episode. Probably, I haven't ranked the paintball episode, but I would guess it's one of the bottom tier ones. But still, it's still a solid paintball episode. So Modern Espionage moves forward.
Adam, Heroic Origins was also one of the ones that I think you listed as one of your least favorites. Is that right?
I would put it in my bottom 5 episodes of all time. Hands down.
I think that was a correct characterization then. So
Hot
Modern
damn.
Espionage moves on. And then we have the number 3 seed Cooperative Polygraphy, which I have been overstating to avoid confusion with Cooperative Calligraphy for the last 2 months. Going up against the 14 seed, which is Queer Studies and Advanced Waxing. Where do you weigh in there?
cooperative polygraphy, but polygraphy. There's a lot of reasons why that goes ahead of queer studies and advanced waxing.
It's a shame we don't have the time to talk about them.
I think part of the reason is the table read has really pushed how much I love this episode, and how much more I appreciate it. It's kind of more brought to light how great of an episode it is. So when I think about cooperative polygraphy, I think of the table read, and I just get such a giddy good feeling from it. And I just recently showed the table read to my girlfriend, and she just lost it when the Mando lost it. And it still gets me every time. And Adam, I text you right after asking you what your thoughts on the best semen delivery was. And I gotta say, I have to agree with you. It's definitely Abed's.
You prefer Abed's sperm to the others?
Yeah. Maybe it's just because it's an old guy's sperm and everyone else got one.
Your delivery wasn't even that good and we're cracking up. Oh my gosh.
All right, so let's knock out these last few matchups here on the bottom of round 1. We've got the 7 versus the 10 basic sandwich going up against wedding videography. Who advances?
Wedding videography. I really liked Frankie in this episode.
Yeah, 100%.
She just calls out the ridiculousness of the group. Also, she's uncomfortable, doing you see her being uncomfortable and going to do girly stuff with Britta and Annie. And yeah, it's a great episode.
I feel like on my bracket, I wrote basic sandwich, but I'm almost positive that you and Matt went with wedding videography.
I think we did. And this is, I know, a bottom 5 episode for you. So just on autopilot, you took it out. Yeah.
Bottom 2, probably bottom 1 episode for me. So I think subconsciously, I'm going to have to make a note to fix that on the official bracket. However, much like some of the other painful moments I've had throughout this process, I hope this one does not last very long. Let's talk about the next matchup, geothermal escapism, the number 2 seed going up against 15, basic human anatomy.
Basic human anatomy, by far. It's just such an easy pick. Season 4. I'm kidding.
Okay. If you really feel that way, I was gonna let you run with it. But for a second, I actually thought you misheard what I said. So.
Yeah, no, geothermal escapism advances. That was the biggest no-brainer for me, I think.
Geothermal escapism was the winner of our Twitter poll, and it started off small. I've been putting them out before we release the episodes for each of the bracket. We've got a couple dozen votes in the first one, but we've gotten more and more as they've gone on, and I was kind of surprised to see that geothermal was the Twitter poll favorite to actually win this entire bracket. But before we get that far, it definitely wins this matchup, thus putting it up against technically wedding videography. So, who would you guys advance between geothermal escapism and not basic sandwich?
And the episode that is not known as basic sandwich. Geothermal escapism. It has Troy. Is that the defense I can just start using moving forward? It still has Troy. Oh, one thing I didn't mention about basic human anatomy is I actually hate that episode because Troy comes off as such a coward, and
yeah,
I like that him and Britta break up because that relationship wasn't really doing anything for me.
Yeah, he's getting rid of the B.
He's getting rid of the B, but the whole switching places for one day, that felt like a very forced inserted shtick.
You, sir, have to take that up with Jim Rash, who wrote the episode.
I will. As much as I appreciate a good movie reference, it just didn't do it for me. To answer your question though about wedding videography and geothermal, escapism advances with Troy as my reasoning.
Okay, now here's the one where maybe not the most difficult matchup in all of these brackets, but I think, especially after listening to the episode we just did with Matt several times, it's so hard to separate these episodes, but what we have now is cooperative polygraphy going up against geothermal escapism.
And this, my friends, was probably the second toughest decision.
It's so hard to watch these episodes not together.
You're right. Yeah. With that, I lean towards cooperative polygraphy.
That really surprises me. Just because I know how much you enjoy geothermal escapism, not because I disagree, but I'm just,
Wait.
You surprise.
Wait, hold on. Our matchup is cooperative polygraphy and modern espionage, right?
We already did that one.
No. We already advanced that. We are now talking about cooperative polygraphy going up against geothermal escapism.
Oh, I am lost in my own bracket. No, it's geothermal escapism.
That surprises me a lot less.
That's why Adam's here to keep us on track.
Yeah, seriously, I'm just here to throw you guys off.
But it's interesting. You say that pretty convincingly. Tell us why that's such an easy decision for you. I know we all deliberated over it quite a bit. Is there something about cooperative polygraphy that you dislike, or is it just that you really love geothermal escapism?
I think that's it. Honestly, there's substance-wise, there is nothing wrong with cooperative polygraphy, but I think geothermal has more raw moments, or probably just as many raw moments as cooperative polygraphy, but it's also our last hurrah of big Green Day gets taken over by X shtick with Troy. And that's how we send him off, to sail away on.
Oh no, why am I crying? Did someone play sticks again?
On accident. Do you have any, what was, what were your considerations for?
I said, it was really hard because the table read has taken, cooperative from a great episode to one of the episodes that is most talked about now, most rewatched, most enjoyed from all these different perspectives. Mm-hmm. And yet, like I said, the Twitter poll said, we're sticking geothermal. So this whole bracket ended up getting a lot more contentious than I thought. And honestly, I would say, not over season 2, but I think there have been some harder decisions coming down the end of this bracket than we had in season 3, and I definitely would not have guessed that before this project. So that all being said, if I'm keeping math correctly here at home, we are down to our last 2 episodes for this bracket, and so far out of the 3, this is the first one where we've ended up with the 1 versus the 2 seed. But Scott, out of all 3 of these seasons, which episode is the best? Which is number 1 for you? Is it Emotional Consequences of Broadcast Television, or is it Geothermal Escapism?
I'm going to need another year to mull this over.
Mm-hmm.
Can we come back to this? Also, I hate you guys for making me pit 2 of the episodes are easily in my, top, probably, top 10, maybe even top 5.
You think you hate us? You should see the mail we're getting from Quiznos lawyers. Sorry, go ahead.
So I thought a lot about this, and maybe my answer would have been different. But just like in March Madness, it can be anybody's day. Pendulum can swing any way. So geothermal is the one that wins this bracket for me.
All right, so you think on game day they pull it through.
They pull it through.
Well, I'm glad someone had the balls to come on and say it. So.
And I actually didn't. So I rewatched Geothermal. I didn't rewatch Emotional Consequences. I've watched it quite a few times, though. I dearly love both of these episodes. What Geothermal pulled through for me, though, is it's not riding on the coattails of it being a finale and us knowing that, everything is ending. And it's one of our most beloved characters last episode. The fact that they do a callback with the sticks thing.
And LeVar.
and LeVar, and we get to see Abed really, like, we get insight into like Abed and how he feels. Like when he starts like confessing to Troy about the lava being real to him and like he doesn't want it. Oh God, I am like starting to tear up just paraphrasing him, but like that moment to me is like one of the most raw human moments in all of Community, and it's one of the reasons it's one of my favorite episodes of all time, all television ever in the history of the world and mankind, personkind.
All right, Scott, that was fantastic. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your 100 million new endeavors to come on and help make sure that we weren't getting out of line on this 4 to 6 bracket. You seem to have done a really good job echoing some of the opinions of people on Twitter. I appreciate that you were here to represent Geo
People's champion.
all the way to the end. Even though in the rest of our brackets it did fall just short.
I love a good underdog story, so
Yeah, like I said, thanks again for taking the time, for everything you've done for the show, man. Obviously, we wouldn't be here without you, and you are welcome back in Apartment 303 anytime.
awesome. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Adam.